And that is the close of our formal presentation. Jim or Tony, do you have anything to add before we go to our chat and Q&A?
Nope, I don't have anything. I thought that was a good overview.
Yeah, likewise, nothing to add here.
All right, and so just everyone, please put any questions you have for either Tony, myself, or Jim in the Q&A function, just so that we can keep track of them. And we did receive our first question from Charles. I have more of an information systems undergraduate degree with some programming courses. What math requirements will I need to meet in order to meet the admission requirements? Calculus 1 and 2? That's the question.
Yeah, you're going to need, for ISC, you're going to need 1 year of math, and that has to include Calculus 1 at a minimum. So if you got Calculus 1 and maybe you have a stats class, that would actually work.
All right, great, thanks for that. And I'm seeing some questions in the chat. Please be sure to put them in the Q&A just so we can keep track of everything. And the second question in the chat, what are the core courses of data science matters?
So there are 2 courses, one from computer science and one from applied math. The computer science course is an algorithms course. It's called Algorithms for Data Scientists. In order to be successful in that course, you would have had to have had a semester or more of Python. And then for the other course is statistical methods and data analysis. And that course, again, is a graduate level stats course. You have to complete those 2 before you can take the other required courses.
All right, sorry, I'm going to turn my email off. Thanks for that, Tony. The next question, when will the application for spring 2022 open? Spring 2022 applications, we have rolling admissions, so you can apply at any time to be admitted into the program. Registration for 2022 opens October 28th, 2021, and the first day of classes is January 24th, 2022. Rule of thumb from our admissions team is that you allow about 6 weeks, 2 weeks to get a response after you apply from our admissions team. And then you want to, of course, allow as much time as possible to register for the courses that you need to begin your course requirements. The next question is, what is the cost? The cost per course right now is $4,775. So we recommend students budget between $48K and $50K to include books. There are no hidden fees. The only additional fee that you will pay is the graduation fee, and that's $100 once you're complete, once you finish the coursework.
So there's one other thing to caveat that for prerequisite courses, there is a dean's fellowship or a dean's stipend that they throw in, which brings the course total for the course cost for prerequisite courses to about $1,250. So basically there's a 75% discount. So if you need prerequisite courses, you can take 4 prerequisite courses for the cost of one of your graduate courses.
Great, thank you for that, Tony. And another thing I thought about this as he was talking, to help finance your education, 78% of our students receive employer benefits. So you definitely want to check to ensure that your employer is not offering anything. And then I'll put a link to additional information about admissions and aid in the chat at the close of this session. Charles's question, has the deadline for the fall 2021 semester passed? So there's no deadline. Again, we have open admissions, but the first day of classes for fall is August 30th. And so registration opened early July. And so the issue would not be that you wouldn't receive a response from the admissions team. It would just be whether or not the classes that you needed to take were available. So you can apply now, you can receive a decision in 2 weeks or so, but we just can't guarantee that the courses that you need will be available, but it doesn't hurt. There's no application fee. So go ahead and push that through. And there's a chance that the classes may be available. You just don't know until you do it. You have nothing to lose. You definitely don't have money to lose because there's no application fee, as I mentioned. The next question, what if I have a bachelor's in electronics with calculus and Java in the coursework, and I have work experience related to it, 2 years, and I have Google Analytics certification? Am I eligible to get an admit?
So on that one, we get a lot of questions about work experience and courses that you've taken that has some of these topics in them. The requirement is a 3-semester-hour course in your programming language, a 4-semester-hour course in the calculus classes. So simply having courses that have calculus in them would not meet that requirement. So you actually have to have the academic course. Now, of course, that's going to make it a lot easier for you if you've been exposed to those topics when you actually take the class, but you are required to actually have the class. Work experience is not a substitute for the academic courses. However, work experience can help you in terms of, the amount of, effort it's going to cost and the amount of rigor you're going to have to put into the course, because if you have some work experience and you've been exposed, like I said, that will make the courses easier for you, but you have to have those classes.
All right, great. Thanks for that, Tony. The next question from Monica. Do students work on a capstone project? What kinds of capstones do they do?
Well, so on the capstone projects, these are projects where it's a cohort a lot of times where it's more than one student and they have a topic that has been presented to them by one of the instructors. So our instructors will publish lists of topics that they're interested in having students do research with online, and the students can take a look. If they are chosen to do the capstone course, that capstone course will count as one of their classes. It is a semester-long capstone project, and the different types of things that you would be doing are relevant to the instructor that had posted it. So you'd have to look at the different topics and read the description to see if that's something that would interest you. We don't publish those online to non-admitted students. Only students that are admitted into the program can actually see those.
All right, the next question from Jorge. Are foreign students eligible for scholarships or financial support to join the program? So Jorge, unfortunately, we don't offer internal financial support. I can certainly link you to the GEM Fellowship, which offers support for underrepresented minorities in STEM. And again, you want to check just to see if your employer offers any tuition remission or tuition reimbursement programs, but we don't actually offer support for our part-time masters to foreign or non-foreign students. The next question, I went to Stevenson University and graduated with a digital forensics degree. I wanted to know if you all have a program catered to that discipline.
Jim, digital forensics?
Doesn't ring a bell. To tell you the truth, that we'd have to know probably a little bit more. I mean, there are probably relevant courses that are sprinkled amongst various programs. We have no degree program in that area. Data science might be my guess as the closest relevant program, but I'm not sure. If you could know more, we can maybe give you a more precise answer.
Okay, we will wait to get some additional details about that question. The next question from Ernesto, what is the expected dedication time per course per week for a 5-minute track?
Yeah, the $64,000 question, right? It's going to depend. I mean, we have three vehicles for which we present our courses. There's face-to-face, where you would meet here in Howard County at our campus, and classes are 4:30 to 7, and then 7:10 to 9:45 or 10 or something like that. But basically, you meet once a week, but you're given coursework that you're required to perform over that week. We have an asynchronous format, which is where you watch videos that are pre-recorded. And in that format, you will watch videos. Each module is 1 week. And then we have what's known as virtual live, which is a hybrid, where the instructor comes on live in a Zoom, kind of like what we're doing here, and you would hear the lecture live. Of course, that affords you the opportunity to ask questions and to interact with the instructor. I would say for each class, you're probably looking at about 10 or more hours a week for each module. And that's outside of the lecture time to be, if you want to be in that A+ range. Now, some people can do it with less. Some people have to do more. But I would say between 8 hours, what you would look at, you need to spend a couple hours an evening, to be successful and really be knowledgeable of the material.
And I would add also to Tony's good answer that there's certain significant fluctuations throughout the semester. So there are going to be times that maybe, you might be able to skate by with a little bit less, but then there are going to be times when you should, allocate, I hate to say it, but even, 20 hours a week or so, if it's an end of class type term project that you have to get done or a final paper or something like that. We all know those take a lot of time and effort. So it's really not much different than even an undergraduate experience in that regard, in that you have to put in the time basically to get a good reward out of it.
And let me just, since we're here, a lot of students, they want to take 2 or 3 courses. We don't recommend that. We recommend that if you're working full time and you're not used to the rigor and the pace, that you start off with 1 course and see how you do with that 1 course. If the 1 course is overwhelming you, or if you can't master that 1 course because of the time, please, relieve yourself of the stress of taking 2 courses, because you will find it very stressful, and we don't want your experience to be marred by that type of interaction. Let's put it that way.
Great, thank you both for that. Jorge is asking if foreign students are eligible for the dean's discount that you mentioned earlier, Tony.
Yes.
Great.
If you are provisionally accepted, that's the key. So you have to go through the admissions process, and if you are provisionally accepted, you're eligible for the discount.
Great. Gabrielle is asking, if I don't have all the required courses, can I take them online at Johns Hopkins? Absolutely.
We offer all the prerequisite courses that you would need for full admission here at Hopkins online.
Great. Charles's question, are letters of recommendation required or recommended?
So letters of recommendations, they do not hurt. Let me tell you, especially if your GPA is floating somewhere around that 3 range, the more that we have to put together the whole person, the better. So I would never tell you not to get a letter of recommendation if that's something that is available to you. Having said that, understand that we know that you're not going to get a letter of recommendation from someone who's going to give you a letter of recommendation that's not great. Okay, so we don't use that as a marker per se, but again, if we're on that borderline, every little thing will help. Please make sure you submit your resume, okay, because that will help you if you're on the border in terms of your admissions chances.
All right, thanks for that. Tony, there is a specific question in the Q&A. I'll just read it out loud. It doesn't. So this question is for you. I'm taking Calculus 3 in the upcoming semester, but it's been almost 10 years since I took Calculus 2. I see Hopkins has a few Coursera courses online. Would the following courses help me prepare for Calculus 3? And then she has them listed. I don't know if you can read this while I'm deep.
I see it.
Okay.
So I do get that a lot. When would you be taking, so you're going to try to take these Coursera courses before the fall semester. You know, what might be better is if you go ahead and get the textbook and maybe start there. It's hard for me to say. I mean, I am going to be your calculus teacher, right? And I've definitely had students who hadn't had calculus in a long time and they were fine. You're going to have a cohort of students that are going to be there to help you as well. We put everybody in an online group in MS Teams. And I think that if you are diligent and you work the problems and you let me know what problems you're struggling with, I don't think that you need to take a course before your Calculus 3. I think you'll be fine. It may take a few days for it to kind of come back, but I think you'll be okay. So, you know, I can't tell you not, I wouldn't tell you not to do it, but I would certainly tell you that if you don't have the time to do that and you come into the course, you'll be okay.
All right, I hope that answers your question. The next question regarding your student profile, what's the average age or age range of incoming students? Is there a maximum age cutoff? No. What has been the age of the oldest student who has been admitted or graduated from one of these programs?
I don't know, Jim, you got any data on that?
Only anecdotal. We have had a surprisingly diverse student body, not only with respect to age, but with respect to background. But in terms of the age, certainly there's no age discrimination. That we can just immediately roll out. I know of students in their 50s. Above that, I don't know. I would not, if that applies to you, the person asking the question, I would, and you're concerned about it for some reason, you are certainly welcome to reach out to one of us individually for, to alleviate your concerns. But we strongly encourage people from all types of backgrounds to pursue our degrees. And mainly we're going to look at whether or not you can do the work. And other concerns, such as age and such, we do not concern ourselves with that, basically. You can have the background.
All right, and the person that asked the question, I can pull that information from a Tableau report if you need it. So I will put my email address in the chat and you can shoot me an email and I can get that to you if you absolutely need the information. The next question from Jorge, what's your opinion on the online only learning experience versus the live? Do you find that one set of students perform better or worse than the other?
I wouldn't say necessarily perform, but certain students prefer the online format, and other students are okay with and other students prefer the virtual or the live format. So, sometimes it may take some getting used to. Certainly the online format is asynchronous, meaning that now you can choose to study whenever you want to, but so while that's liberating, that's also a challenge because now you have to be responsible for making sure that you schedule and have the discipline to do it. There's not going to be anyone to say, hey, you need to show up here, or hey, you need to do the reading. It's all going to be self-motivated and your own self-initiative. And sometimes students find that to be a challenge. When you have to be in class on a certain day, or you have to log on a certain day and time, that kind of keeps you in a rhythm. So those are the things you would look at, not necessarily, but I can't say that there is a statistically significant shift that I've noticed between students doing online or virtual. I don't know, Jim, if you have noticed anything, but I haven't.
No, and I know they have done some studies on that, not only with the Hopkins database, but with the broader pool. You could go online and look at that, look at what's been revealed. Online education now has been around. It's not a new thing anymore. Maybe a decade or two ago, it might have been considered as relatively innovative and revolutionary, but online education as a whole is, it's been around for a while. There's a lot of data on it. In all honesty, as Tony was alluding to, not everybody prefers that mode. Some people prefer to be in a traditional classroom, and we do offer some opportunities for that. But I would encourage you, again, maybe a little self-study if you want to try to get some insight into the relative merit of online versus non-online for actually absorbing the material.
All right, thank you for that, both of you. The next question is asking about fees for the Postmasters data science certification. So there's no difference in cost for the per course cost. The certificate only requires 5 courses instead of the 10 courses needed to complete the graduate degree. So the cost is the same. It's the $4,755 after the Dean's Fellowship. And then the person is asking where they can find a list of faculty for the certificate. Do we have a faculty listing for programs?
Well, we have a faculty listing for the courses. And so if you look at the courses if you look at the 5 courses that you want to take, then you can see the faculty that teach those courses.
All right. Next question, can I take all courses online, and how are the assessments done when courses are taken online?
Yes, you can take, now when I say online, I mean a combination of synchronous and asynchronous. So there are some online courses that have a virtual component to it, but it's still online. It's just that the instructor is live. So yes, you can take your courses online. Assessments are done different ways depending on the instructor's preference. Some instructors do exams in our learning management system called Blackboard. Other instructors do projects. A lot of instructors I know would do things like where you would brief, over a Zoom chat, your project, stuff like that. So it's a variety of different ways, but not dissimilar from traditional education institutions or education formats.
All right, Ryan is thanking you both for the answers to one of the questions. He said he was in the middle of typing it and you answered it before he did so. So thank you for that. Ernesto is asking, are there different paths determined by the electives, or is there an additional difference in the programs?
Well, now, okay, so this is a very good question. So in data science is probably of the programs that I manage, data science is going to be one of the least flexible. In other words, there is a path that you go down in data science that have been mapped out by the chairs to deem that this is what a data scientist needs to know. Now, of the 10 courses, 5 are required. Every data scientist in Johns Hopkins University will take 5 of the same courses. 2 are a permutation of 4 courses, which you have to take 2. So you can see the wiggle room there. And then the last 3, you're given maybe, out of those last 3, I would say you're given maybe 2 where you have some real wiggle room where you're like, oh, I could just pick anything. So it's very, very, it's very, very concrete. The information systems engineering program, however, has what we call tracks. So you would take 3 foundational courses in information systems engineering. And after you take those 3 foundational courses, there are about 8 different tracks that you could go down. And in those tracks, there are courses that are relevant to that track: network security, cybersecurity, different things. And you can take and decide, hey, I'm really interested in this. And then you would take courses in that track. And I would say that information systems engineering is probably one of our more flexible programs in terms of, if you don't exactly know what you want to do, you could go into that and you'll have a lot of wiggle room in determining that as you go through.
All right, great. Thank you for that. The next question, can I apply for this program before completing the prereqs? I graduated from a medical school, but have no background in data science.
Absolutely. So when you apply, if you don't have any of the prereqs, you will be admitted as a provisional student, okay? And listen, there is no difference between a provisional student and a full admit, except what's written down on paper and the courses you take it. It's not like if you came to campus and you were walking down the hall, someone would be like, oh, the provisional students over there, we're the fully admitted students. No, you get the same access to all the material. You get a Johns Hopkins ID, which means you can download all the software. You have rights to every license that every other student has. Which, let me tell you, the software library here at Johns Hopkins is extensive. And I'm talking the real expensive software like MATLAB and Console and all of these other things that like cost a lot of money. As a student, you have access to those licenses. And there are many other resources. So I would highly encourage you not to wait, not to try and go take the prerequisites at some other university yourself. I would say apply. What we're looking for is, are you a good student academically? If you're a good student and you have above a 3.0 GPA, your chances of being admitted are going to be pretty high.
All right, thank you for that, Tony. The next question from Charles. Do the in-person classes fill up fast when registration opens for a semester? Is there a COVID limitation for the in-person courses?
So the in-person courses do fill up fast. We do not have a COVID limitation this fall. There's information about what is required to attend in-person classes. And so that information is something that I think you're going to have to read on the website because it is evolving. I know it has something to do with vaccinations and stuff like that, but I don't want to speak on that as an authority because I'm not as well versed on it sitting right here right now. But again, that information is available. But yes, we're happy to announce that we're going to be pursuing our regular in-person fall classes here on campus. Now, mind you, our in-person courses are not in Baltimore. They're in Howard County, adjacent on campus with the Johns Hopkins University Applied Physics Lab.
All right, and I will find a link to the information that Tony mentioned with regard to the requirements, the personal requirements for being on campus. The next question from Alan. I'm a Canadian living in Shanghai. How will the live courses affect your job? I'm thinking you're talking about timing for the virtual live courses. And you just have to balance that out because.
Yeah, if you do the virtual live, it's Eastern Standard Time.
Right.
So you would have to figure out what that means to where you are.
It's about 12 hours, I think, in Shanghai.
Yes.
Very early in the morning. Okay, very early in the morning. Yeah.
The next question, can I use a post 9/11 GI Bill to fund the Postmasters DS certification? You certainly can. And we have a person that we work with. She's a new person and I don't know her name right offhand, but I will forward you the information for the contact that works with our veterans and people that are in the service. So you can get a direct connection and she can help you through all those processes. The next question from Joey. For those interested in the program while working full-time, what are the typical class times for the in-person or live course structures? Are classes usually on weekdays or on the weekend as well?
Courses are on weekdays. We have 2 sessions, 4:30 and I believe 7:10 or 7:20. So you can take an earlier course from 4:30 to 7, or you can take the later one from 7:20 to 10.
All right, the next question from Samani. Can the Capstone project be a research project that could be extended to a PhD related to a data science master's?
We don't have PhD programs here in EP. So what you could do is your capstone program, your capstone project, if it's good enough, it could be submitted to a conference or a publication, and you could walk away with a publication along with your master's degree. That could be used in your PhD application to demonstrate your academic prowess, but we don't have any feeders into any PhD programs. Jim, is that about right?
Yeah, I do. For people who are interested in a PhD, I do strongly encourage them to do a research project, whether you call it a capstone or an independent study, or in some of the programs, actually a thesis option is available. It's not in data science, and I do not believe it's also in the ISC either. But so it is a good experience because it really allows you to sort of test the waters in terms of your interest in doing research and your ability in doing research. And in all honesty, some people find out that it's really not their cup of tea, and they don't, they would, and maybe a PhD aspiration is not really the proper direction for them. Others really find that they love it, and are really, it whets their appetite for further studying and going on for a doctoral degree. So a capstone, independent study, thesis, whatever it is a good experience if you're interested in pursuing a PhD. We also have the Postmasters certificate, which again allows you to sort of enhance your studies as well, again, as possibly a bridge towards a doctoral degree of some type. So,
and we also
encourage that. Yeah, I would just one more thing is that if for a person interested in a PhD, seriously, I would encourage them to meet with their advisor early in their studies to sort of lay out a plan that's oriented that way, and to get any greater or further information from their advisor that might be relevant to subsequent PhD studies. Some things can be tailored. Like I know, for example, in the advising that I do for both the applied and computational math program, as well as the data science program, I will help students sometimes tailor the degree program in a way that will help them succeed for a PhD program.
All right, thank you for that. We don't offer a part-time PhD, but we do have a DEng, a Doctor of Engineering program that is designed for working engineers and scientists. And so I will also put a link to that program in the chat. The next question from Ernesto for the data science program: what is the definition of the school of a data scientist? And what is the expectation that students are capable upon completion of the program?
What is the definition of the school of a data scientist? I'm not sure I understand the question. Jim, what do you think he's talking about there?
Well, I would gather that you're interested in our definition of the field of data science. And we do give a definition along those lines. If you look at in the catalog description, which I can just read the first sentence or two here, the rigorous curriculum focuses on the fundamentals of computer science, statistics, and applied mathematics while incorporating real-world examples. By learning from practicing engineers and data scientists, graduates are prepared to succeed in specialized jobs involving everything from the data pipeline and storage to statistical analysis and eliciting the story the data tells. So in a nutshell, that's sort of the philosophy that underlies our data science program. And I guess you could say that in some sense, that's our definition of what a data scientist is. But yeah, I mean, as I think the questioner is sort of alluding to, there's not a single definition out there in the world at large. Will emphasize widely different things. I would say that in general, our program is much more heavily focused on the theoretical principles than most of the data science programs you will see out there. So if you were to do a random selection of a data science program from any other university, compare it with the Johns Hopkins degree, I would put good money on the fact that the Johns Hopkins program is going to have a more rigorous grounding in fundamental principles, and correspondingly have a little bit higher demands on your prerequisite material coming in.
All right.
Well, Jim, having that definition handy, that was pretty cool.
Oh, well, just got lucky on that one. Got lucky on that one.
All right. That answers your question. The next question, how do you discern a prospective student's aptitude for learning if they've graduated from university studies 30 to 40 years ago? And then a follow-up regarding extended gap years. Do you assess applicants differently based upon studies undertaken before the availability of the internet? Not exactly the Flintstone age.
So let me put it to you this way, because a lot of the borderline situations will come to me and the chairs to kind of decipher. And I'll tell you a little story. My sons played D1 football at Army, both of them. And I remember when I was sitting in the bleachers and my sons were out and they were trying out for the football team. And the coach, he ran over to me and he said, yeah, Mr. Johnson, I just want to let you know. He rubbed his head. He was like, he said, your sons, they don't know anything about football. They don't even understand the game hardly. I was like, oh, okay. He said, but let me tell you something. He said, I can teach them how to play football. He said, I can't teach them to be athletes. And your sons are very athletic. And they made the team because what you can't teach is athleticism. And what we're looking for is we're looking for academics, and we're looking for that level of where a student is a conscientious student and have demonstrated that. And it doesn't mean that the class have to be exactly, if they've demonstrated that they're a conscientious student that can learn, that's what we're looking at. And we're using these metrics as a means by which to determine that. So it doesn't matter that it was 30 or 40 years ago. How did you do then? Were you a good student then? Did you demonstrate academic potential? And it's that academic potential that we're looking for, because we can teach you the data science. We can teach you information systems engineering. I can't teach you to be an academic or to show that academic potential. So don't think of it as like, oh, I didn't do this, I didn't do that. How did you do in the things that you did? And then we'll go from there to assess what do you need to be brought up to speed. And that's what our prerequisites are for.
Right. That's a very good point. I love that football story. And I would also add that we have some courses that are especially tailored for students who have been out of school for a while.
Yeah.
Whether a while means 10 years or 30 years, it doesn't matter to us. So we have, as an example, we have a course called General Applied Mathematics.
Mm-hmm.
As its title states, it is sort of a broad brush review of math. So even if you were an outstanding math student 30 or 40 years ago, and you haven't been doing math on your daily job, you might find a class like that to be helpful. And we have other classes as well in different fields that can help with that transition. So we work with, the university that is, will work very much with students on an individual basis. Plus you have an assigned advisor. Every student gets assigned an advisor. And all of our advisors are very conscientious individuals, and they'll be more than happy to work with you on a one-on-one basis to design the course plan to help you be successful. We do not like students to fail out of the program. That's not when we admit a student, we are hoping very strongly that student will be successful.
Yeah. That's a good point, Jim. Yeah.
Right.
This is not a weed out program. If you make it through admissions, we're expecting and rooting for you to complete your degree.
Great, thank you both for that. Charles's question, is Python the primary language used in data science courses, or any other programming languages used in the data science curriculum?
Python is the primary. We also have Java. So Python and Java are the two languages you want to be thinking about.
There might be an R in there too for at least one of the stat classes. They might use R.
True. No, you're right. R is also one of them as well. So,
yeah.
All right. Do we have any other questions from our lively audience this afternoon?
Some really good questions in there.
Yeah.
I am putting an email address in the chat. And if you have any additional questions, you can feel free to email that email address. Tony and Jim, do you want to add anything before we close out the session this afternoon?
I hope that we were able to answer your questions. We'd love to see you apply. And again, my encouragement to you would be not to try to see if you can get your file ready. Go ahead and apply. And get that admission application going, because again, we have rolling admissions, and we'll evaluate it for you and let you know where you are. Provisional admission is a good way to start. So
I have nothing else to add. Those are good points.
All right, sorry guys, one more in the chat. Someone asking if they can schedule a Zoom to discuss the certificates and information provided is sufficient. I don't know if you all schedule Zooms.
So our admissions coordinators, once you apply, you can reach out to the admissions coordinator, and the admissions coordinator will do all of that for you and talk with you and walk you through the process.
All right, thank you for that. And again, if you have any additional questions, feel free to shoot an email to jhep@jhu.edu. And we look forward to seeing you in our virtual classrooms. Enjoy the rest of your day.
All
Thanks.
right.
Yeah. Bye.